So for example 5 here, in an examination given to a class of 20 students, the following test scores were obtained. And more times than not, the data that I would probably give to you is going to be in order, because that's another task that, would take you some time to possibly do, even if you have to put it into a calculator and have it do it for you or something like that. So the data is in order, and you're asked to find the mean or average score as well as the mode and the median. The mean is just, I'm just going to add up all these scores together. If I take the sum of them, I do get 1,480. And I know there's 20 of the students here, so I have 20 scores, which total 1,480. But I'm going to do that divided by 20 to figure out what the average score is. And so that the average score is going to be 74. Now, the median, since it's in order, I want to look and find the middle value. But I have 20 things here. Well, if I have an odd number, I look for the one that's in the middle score. I really don't have a quote-unquote middle term in this sequence because there's an even number here. So what we tend to do in this kind of circumstance is I take this number divided by 2. So what do I usually do to find the middle if it's in order? If it was an odd number, I would divide that by 2. So like, say this was like 21, I would get basically 10.5. Which basically means that the 11th term should be in the middle. Well, for this one here, if I take 20 and divide it by 2, I get 10 exactly. And anytime I don't get a decimal, I get an exact integer. That means that there's really nothing in the middle. So what I have to do under those circumstances, I got to take the 10th term and the 11th term in this case, or take the term number that it comes up when I take the number of people or things that are in my data, and if I divide that by 2, if I get a whole number, then I gotta look at that number and the term following it and average them together. If I get a value that's a decimal, then if I get like 10.5, that means go to the 11th term. If I get like 14.7, for instance. Probably not going to happen 14.7, but I mean, it's go to the 15th term, and that's what you're looking for. But for this case here, since if I take 20 divided by 2 and get 10, I should find the 10th and 11th term, which they do happen to both be 80. So if I average those together, I'm going to get 80. So the median score does happen to be 80. The mode is just me looking through the data and see, okay, is there any one piece of data that occurs most frequently? Well, I can see that the 85s occur 4 times, and I don't really have any other value in this group of test scores that occur more frequently. So 85 would be the mode. So you can see there's some differences in these scores here. Which of these 3 measures of central tendency do you think is the least representative of the set of scores? Okay, so when I look at these, these 3, what's the best of the central tendency? Well, typically the median is the best. We're not asked for what the best, because because you are looking for the one that's in the middle. So a lot of times median, that's why sometimes you'll see data reported say the median household income, not the mean, the median, because the median also takes frequency into consideration as well, and the more frequent a score is, that's also towards the middle as well. So oftentimes the median and mode are close together. It's not so much in this case because they're 5 they're 5 points apart here. And when I look at the mean and median, that's 6 points apart. So it's like they're not that close to each other. A lot of times though the mode would tend to be the same as the median in a lot of cases, but usually you have to have much bigger data sets than 20. Most oftentimes the mean is the least representative because the mean is influenced by extreme data. In this case, we had some very low scores on this. We had a 40 and a 45. Those 50s didn't help either. Most of the people passed this thing. Most people got B's or above. But yet those several students down here that scored rather poorly pulled it down to a C average. Meanwhile, I still have many more students up here that, you know, had a B average. So when I look at, I mean, these two here are basically telling me, okay, well, these are at least in the same ballpark as what most of the people in this group had. Whereas this score here is because, well, I have these group of people here that really brought that score down, particularly the 40 and 45. So, and you'll see that sometimes in situations where I have, you know, the scores being moved upward because of the fact that, you know, there's one person that scored very, very well, but most everybody scored maybe this. So the mean is often influenced by extreme values. That's why the mean is not always the best measurement. Now, if you take into consideration what we're about to talk about now, then the mean can be used, but then you would, if you say, okay, well, with this other statistic, that'll let me know, okay, well, how accurate is this mean?